Police in Sweden have arrested a teenager in connection with a deadly shooting at a hair salon in the eastern city of Uppsala.
Germany's coalition government has cleared its final hurdle to power after Social Democrats voted in favor of the agreement.
Police in Sweden have arrested a teenager in connection with a deadly shooting at a hair salon in the eastern city of Uppsala on Tuesday. At least 3 people aged between 15 and 20 were killed in the shooting. Police confirmed on Wednesday that the person arrested for the shooting is under the age of 18 and an investigation was looking into links with gang crime.
Under jakten har flera personer som är intressanta i utredningen tagits in till polisstationen i Uppsala. I nuläget så är en person anhållen, på sannolika skäl misstänkt för mord. Men vi fortsätter att följa flera uppslag och räknar med att föra in ytterligare personer och att utredningsläget kommer att...
Swedish media reported that one of those murdered at the hair salon is known to the police. The victim was allegedly involved in a police investigation over a planned attack, according to the reports. Sweden has grappled with gang violence for years, which has resulted in frequent shootings and bomb attacks.
Germany's Social Democrats approved a coalition deal with Conservatives on Wednesday, paving the way for Friedrich Merz to become Chancellor. Nearly 85% of SPD members who voted backed joining the government led by Merz CDU and CSU bloc. The SPD finished third in February's election, but its support allows the Conservatives to govern without the far-right AfD. SPD leader Lars Klingbeil is tapped for Vice-Chancellor and Finance Minister, though critics question his fiscal experience. The SPD gets 7 ministries, including defense and labor, while the CDU takes posts like foreign and interior. The deal will be signed on Monday, May 5th, with Parliament expected to elect Merz as Chancellor on Tuesday, May 6th.
About 600 North Korean troops have been killed in fighting for Russia against Ukrainian forces, South Korea's spy agency told lawmakers on Wednesday. According to South Korea's National Intelligence Service, the death toll was part of an estimated 4,700 casualties, including injuries and deaths. The assessment came 2 days after Pyongyang confirmed for the first time that it had sent troops to help Russia recapture parts of the Kursk region, which Ukraine took control of in a surprise incursion last year. In February, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky claimed that the North Korean soldiers were fleeing the front line after suffering huge losses. Images released by Ukraine showed some injured North Korean soldiers it held captive. Russia announced on Saturday that Ukrainian troops had been removed from Kursk, a claim that could not be independently verified. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin signed a historic defense treaty last year that stipulates that both sides must offer assistance in the event of an attack on the other.
It is the second day of the European People's Party Congress taking place here in Valencia in the east coast of Spain. It is the first gathering of this kind since the European People's Party won the elections last June, the European Parliament elections. So a lot of familiar faces here at the Congress, from the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen to the European Parliament President Roberta Metsola. The party also boasts 12 heads of state and government who sit inside the EU Council, 14 commissioners and 188 MEPs. And the big headline here is the fact that Manfred Weber, the German politician, has been re-elected for 3 more years as president. Many here are also excited about the fact that Germany's new chancellor is also from their party. Friedrich Merz warmed the room yesterday and excited the room with his words that he will be focusing on cutting red tape and regulation when he gets inaugurated.
Well, we have a lot of power in our hands. We have the responsibility. We have seen major challenges ahead. I just had a meeting with my American friends. That is the dominant issue, the role of Europe. It has to take over much more responsibility. I'm not pessimistic about the transatlantic relations. We as EPP always have been very much in favor of it. We do much more than we should have done in the past. But we have the potential. Europe is extremely rich in economics. Military is something we have to build up. Well, the expectation is extremely high, and the speech yesterday had been very clear. I hope his coalition partner will support him in this endeavor. And we have other partners, not only France. It's Poland, it's the Nordic countries, the Baltics. These are our allies, so we know what we are up to do.
Maeve McMahon, Euronews, Valencia.
US President Donald Trump has marked 100 days of his second administration. The US leader claimed to have had the most successful ever start to a presidential term. However, polls suggest about 4 in 10 Americans, or even less, approve of how he is handling the presidency.
After 100 days back in the White House, America is a free, proud, and sovereign nation once more.
During a 90-minute speech, Trump focused heavily on immigration. The president showed a video of men being deported from the U.S. to a notorious prison in El Salvador and promised his supporters that his administration had just gotten started. During his speech, Trump also attacked federal judges after they had questioned the legality of using an ancient wartime act to deport people. The U.S. leader hit back that nothing will stop him in his mission to keep America safe. However, the U.S. public also expressed concerns about Trump's immigration policies, with roughly half of Americans saying he has gone too far over deportations. While roars of approval could be heard inside of the venue, more than 1,000 people protested outside holding signs reading 100 Days of Lies, and Trump is destroying our democracy.
Vietnam marked 50 years since the end of its war with the US with a major parade in Ho Chi Minh City, formerly known as Saigon. Wednesday's anniversary was held under the official theme of peace and future development. Saigon fell to North Vietnamese forces on April 30, 1975, marking the end of the war shortly after the final chaotic evacuation of remaining American personnel, whose main combat troop withdrawal had been completed following the 1973 Paris Peace Accords. General Secretary of the Communist Party To Lam spoke of closing the past, building a unified nation, and acknowledged past support, including from people in the US. Troops from Vietnam, China, Laos and Cambodia marched, reflecting regional ties. Spectators and veterans emphasized reconciliation and friendship half a century after the conflict. Analysts say this focus reflects Vietnam's modern outlook, though the war's complex legacy remains. This year also marks 30 years of diplomatic ties with Washington, upgraded last year to top strategic partner status. But heavy Trump tariffs are straining relations, and US aid cuts are affecting work on war legacies like Agent Orange, which was a chemical weapon used by the US during warfare. Vietnamese officials stressed that addressing these legacies is crucial for stable ties. The US's focus on trade disputes raises questions about its regional strategy as Vietnam navigates tensions with China. The US State Department on Tuesday wouldn't confirm reports that its diplomats were discouraged from attending. The US Consul General attended, but the ambassador did not, while leaders from Laos and Cambodia were present.
Croatian Prime Minister Andrej Plenković is concerned about instability in Bosnia-Herzegovina, but thinks it is time to push for EU membership. In an exclusive interview to Euronews, he also said that enlargement should be a priority for the European Union.
We as Croatia would very much like to see that Bosnia and Herzegovina is our immediate neighbor, a country where Croats are constituent and people with equal rights with Bosniaks and Serbs should move towards the dynamics that other countries of the region have, and we want to help them.
But Plenković is worried about the instability of the region, with the threat of secession looming over the Republika Srpska as separatist leader Milorad Dodik fled the country.
So we would very much like that Bosnia and Herzegovina shifts from potential instability and these tendencies of secession when it comes to Republika Srpska to a more harmonious and functional situation in Bosnia and Herzegovina, where the EU path and reforms which are beneficial to citizens both in economic and social terms are implemented.
The Croatian Prime Minister also believes that continuing to leave the Balkan countries waiting may further intensify the pressure from outside influences.
The more slower the process is, the more influence of other global actors in the region we have, whether it's Russia, whether it's China, whether it's some other countries, and therefore we are advocating a structured and dynamic process.
Plenković would like to have the issue of Bosnia-Herzegovina in the Western Balkans debated at the June European Council. You can watch the full episode of the Europe Conversation next week.
Amazon has launched its first batch of internet broadcasting satellites, kicking off its long-delayed deployment of an internet from space network. 27 satellites are now in orbit at an altitude of nearly 630 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Monday's launch from the Atlas V rocket, which took off from Florida, follows that of 2 experimental satellites launched 2 years ago as part of Project Kuiper, a $10 billion effort unveiled in 2019. Competing with rival Elon Musk's Starlink, Jeff Bezos' team claims that the satellites they're launching are now much more advanced than the first 2. The company aims to put more than 3,200 of these satellites into orbit. Musk's SpaceX has already launched more than 8,000 Starlinks since 2019. Meanwhile, a growing number of astronomers are warning that the large number of satellites is hampering their work and could pose an accident risk.
Hydraulics continue to look good.